Welcome back, Focus Learners. Let's get right into it because today we're tackling a topic that directly impacts your daily comfort and, more importantly, your wallet. We are looking at HVAC efficiency, and specifically, we're going to demystify the new SEER 2 standard. Now, if you've been shopping for an air conditioner or heat pump lately, you've probably seen just a totally dizzying array of numbers and ratings. Well, we're going to cut through all that confusion right now, break down exactly what these new regulations mean, and show you how to leverage this information to maximize your federal tax rebates. Here's our roadmap for this explainer. 1. Decoding the SEER rating. 2. The shift to SEER 2. 3. Doing the SEER 2 conversion. 4. Regional minimum requirements. And finally, 5. Unlocking the tax credit. Section 1. Decoding the SEER rating. What does it actually measure? Okay, let's dive into this definition. SEER stands for Seasonal Energy Efficiency Ratio, and the formula is honestly pretty straightforward. It's just the total cooling output your system provides over a typical cooling season, which is measured in BTUs, divided by the total electrical energy it consumes in watt-hours during that same period. You know, a really great way to think about this is like the MPG, or miles per gallon rating on your car. Just like a car getting 40 mpg is way more fuel efficient than one getting 20, an HVAC system with a SEER of 20 is far more energy efficient than one with a SEER of 13. It basically just tells you how efficiently your system uses electricity to keep your house cool. Now, what's really wild is this massive percentage, 300 to 500%. I mean, how is an efficiency rating over 100% even physically possible? Well, this specifically applies to heat pumps. See, a highly efficient traditional gas furnace tops out at around 98% efficiency because it literally has to burn fuel to generate heat. But a heat pump, it doesn't generate heat at all. It simply transfers it from one place to another. And because moving heat requires significantly less energy than creating it from scratch, modern heat pumps can achieve these absolutely incredible efficiency ratings. They're giving you 3 to 5 units of heat energy for every 1 unit of electricity they consume. Pretty amazing, right? Section 2. The shift to SEER 2. Why the Department of Energy updated the rules. So this gets right to the core of the regulatory change that took effect in 2023. Look, the original SEER standard was a reasonable benchmark, but the lab conditions were, frankly, unrealistically easy. The old testing method, which was known as M1, used an external static pressure of just 0.1 inches of water column, and that's basically just a laboratory way to measure air resistance. But in the real world, your equipment has to push air through actual residential ductwork, which creates a lot more resistance than that. So, the new SEER 2 M2 test applies 0.5 inches of water column. That is literally 5 times more external static pressure. The whole point is that the test was updated to finally accurately reflect the real-world conditions inside your actual home. And because the tests got 5 times harder, naturally, the numbers on the labels changed. A unit's new SEER 2 rating is roughly 4.5 to 7% lower than its old SEER equivalent. But the absolutely crucial point to remember here is this. The physical equipment didn't suddenly get worse or less efficient overnight. The hardware is exactly the same. It's just that the test finally captures real-world installation conditions, which just results in a slightly lower but much more honest number on the sticker. Section 3. Doing the SEER 2 conversion, translating those old quotes to the new standards. It turns out there is a really simple consumer cheat code for this. If you just take an old SEER rating and multiply it by 0.95, you'll get the approximate new SEER 2 equivalent. It is literally that simple. Let's look at exactly how this math plays out. An old 14 SEER unit is now rated at 13.4 SEER 2. An old 15 SEER is now 14.3 SEER 2. And an old high-efficiency 18 SEER is now a 17.2 SEER 2. So why does this matter to you? Well, imagine a contractor tries to sell you on a quote-unquote 15 SEER unit from their old stock, and another quotes you a modern 14.3 SEER 2 unit. You need to know that you are looking at essentially the exact same equipment. You definitely don't want to be fooled into thinking the 15 SEER quote is offering a superior machine just because the number from that older, easier test happens to be higher. Section 4. Regional minimum requirements. Where you live dictates what you can buy. So the Department of Energy has actually split the country up into regions to enforce different minimum efficiency requirements. For your typical split-system air conditioners, where you have a unit outside and a unit inside, states in the north only require a minimum of 13.4 SEER 2. But if you live in the Southeast or the Southwest, places with those incredibly long, brutal summers, the legal minimum jumps up to 14.3 SEER 2. And the goal here is really twofold. They want to save homeowners in hot climates money over their long cooling seasons, but they also want to drastically reduce the strain on regional power grids during peak summer demand. However, there is an exception to this regional rule, and it's for heat pumps. Because a heat pump pulls double duty, it's working as your air conditioner in the summer and your heater in the winter, the Department of Energy established a flat, nationwide minimum of 14.3 SEER 2 for split-system heat pumps. So no matter where you live, from Maine to Arizona, that 14.3 SEER 2 is the absolute floor for new heat pump installations. Section 5. Unlocking the tax credit. Let's talk about turning that efficiency into cash. So, how exactly can this new, highly efficient HVA system pay you back? Well, we are talking about the Federal Energy Efficient Home Improvement Tax Credit, which is a really fantastic program available all the way through the end of 2025. Just look at that number, $600. That is the maximum federal tax credit amount you can claim specifically for qualifying central air conditioners. But, as you might expect, the government doesn't just hand this money out to anyone. There are very strict performance thresholds that your new equipment absolutely has to meet. Let's break down these eligibility criteria, because this is where the details really matter. First off, the credit covers 30% of your total project cost, and that's capped at a maximum of $600 for central ACs. Second, and this is vital, if you install a traditional split system, it has to meet a rigorous SEER 2 rating of 17.0 or higher. Now, for package systems, where everything is housed in just one big outdoor box, the target is 16.0 SEER 2. You also have to track a secondary rating called EER2, which measures efficiency at a fixed peak temperature. That threshold is 12.0 for split systems and 11.5 for package systems. And finally, you can't claim this on some rental property you own but don't live in. It must be installed in your primary U.S. residence. Now, when you really look at the details of this program, a super interesting strategy emerges. Spread your improvements out over a few years. See, the tax code puts an overall annual total limit of $3,200 on these efficiency credits. But that breaks down into a $1,200 limit for envelope improvements, things like insulation and windows, combined with central ACs and furnaces. However, there is a completely separate $2,000 annual limit specifically reserved for heat pumps. So, for instance, you could optimize your attic insulation this year to claim up to $1,200, and then install a high-efficiency heat pump the very next year to claim up to another $2,000. Stacking these upgrades strategically over multiple tax years ensures you aren't leaving any of that federal money on the table. Let's end on a bit of a provocative question. Will a premium 18+ SEER 2 system actually save you money? Or are you literally just paying for a vanity number? Honestly, the truth is that the answer depends entirely on you. If you live in a really hot climate like Florida or Texas and you plan to stay in your home for 10 years, an 18 SEER 2 system might easily pay for itself in energy savings, especially when you factor in these tax credits. But if you live up in the cooler north and you only turn your AC on 3 months out of the year, the math might not make sense for you. So I challenge you, look at your local utility rates, consider your climate, and calculate your own real-world payback period. Don't just automatically buy the highest number. Buy the smartest efficiency for your unique home. Thanks for joining me on this explainer today. Stay focused, stay curious, and I'll catch you next time.